What up, everyone? This is Mr. Lord Dr. Professor Dark Joker here with another edition of Traditional Fans with Opinions, where I'll give my reviews for whoever I watched, read, or played today. And who are traditional fans with opinions? That is myself, and that is you, the viewers. With all that being said, on with the reviews. One Piece, Chapter 1172. So in this chapter, so Gabon explains the situation to everyone of what's going on. So basically, you have the three, God Knights, you know, basically like attacking Elbaf. They're kidnapping 10 giant children to use as hostages to force the giants to be battle slaves. And then yeah, so explain, Gabon explains that the trio, which we know to be Gunko, has a power using arrows, and basically like the children are forced to walk the direction that the arrows point. And so like right now they're walking towards the port. And then yeah, so basically, so another one you have of course Somers. He has the thorn fruit power. So he does like these vines that some of the vines are invisible, with some of the vines being around the children. And then yeah, as you have the other one, and basically is like manifesting nightmares as like monsters. So all the children's fears come back to life to have come to life to like basically prevent attempts at rescuing them. Yeah, basically, so they're all trying to figure out how to save the kids. Yeah, so they're trying to figure out how to do it. And then like you have this whole big, you have all the so they see all these monsters. And then yeah, so Tashi sees all of them. So he explains that how Dorian Brogger tried to kill Drool, and how like basically a lot of them have gone crazy. And that he explains that Ripley's got a group of giants chasing after the children. And then yeah, and then yeah, so basically then so like everyone so like some of them were trying to like go after the children. And so Sanji asks where the school is because that's where Nami's group is. So what his Sanji's priorities are. And then yeah, so basically, so then you have the whole battle going on. So like some of the Straw Hats, you have Usopp, Nami, Jinbei, Robin. They're tied up, and like so yeah, so you have yeah, so what do you have? You have basically like so Drool says some people are trying to figure out what to do. Drool says before anything happens, he tells the others to flee if they want, but he says he has to tell Elbaf something. So he gets like he gets a transponder snail and talks to all of Elbaf, and he wants to say something, and he talks about how Herald wanted to bring Elbaf into the world government so that they could giants could coexist with the rest of the world, which probably everyone probably had an idea about. But he says that 14 years ago when he died, he was betrayed by the government and by the world government, and that he says he witnessed the demons kill Herald and the rest of the soldiers, and Herald resisted bending the knee and giving Elbaf to the demon, and they fought and died. And he says that if the people learned the truth, they would rise up against the world government. And Herald did not want Elbaf to be a warfaring nation again, so he kept quiet. And that Loki that Loki decided to take the fall and went to the sea, and he says that Loki's innocent, and so basically you have Zoro saying that, well, it's a little inaccurate, but it kind of works. Haruka says it's nicer than he deserves, and Geraldine says that all the those that went after Harald, they're back, and so now he says there are three demons have come to take over Elbaf. So like yeah, so then and he said he talks to the three God Knights saying he says, listen up, you devils. If you spare children's lives, we will freely give up our culture and history. But then he says, but if you think you've broken our spirit, you are sorely mistaken. Do not expect Harald's patience from us. Do you think you can rule over us and enslave us? Who do you think you're talking to? And then he tells the children to cover their ears. And Usopp's excited. He's like, yes, let's go, Jarul. Let's go. And then, like, so Drulden says, if the world is destined to be split into, as Harley's prophecy suggests. So Harley, that's the ancient text on, the Adam tree. And so Drul says, if the world's going to be split into, then Elbaf will be against the world government. And then, yeah. And so, and then basically he inspires like all the warriors of Elbaf, and so to rally them, and so everyone's ready to fight. And they said then after I guess Hydrogen and Zoro arrive, and so they've caught up. And Zoro then says he's got a plan. What the plan is, who knows? But yeah, I thought it was a really good chapter, dude. Jarul's speech is freaking awesome. Like it was really freaking cool. Like I thought it was great. So I'm really interested in this, seeing how that goes. I really liked it. Interesting how it could go. So I think this fight is gonna be freaking cool. Like I thought it was a really good fight. So yeah, I really like this chapter. Looking forward to the next one. The Elusive Samurai Chapter 236. So in this one, so Akaji's annoyed that Tokiyuki like just fleeing the entire time, and that basically I guess avoiding just execution, like dying I guess by his heart stopping or in a fire, like is like gonna be a victory over Takachi. He's annoyed with that. So Tokiyuki just like flees, and people are kind of amused by him while soldiers are trying to kill him. And then yeah, so Kojiro and Fubuki are trying to fight him off some of the soldiers. And then yeah, so everyone's watching, and they see Toki just enjoying himself. And so Toki's thinking how like his heart can't take really anymore, so he's about to die. So Toki tells Kojiro Fubuki he has to flee. He needs to flee to like the treetop. And then yeah, so he thanks Fubuki and Kojiro for basically for being his friends. And then so they throw him up to the treetop. And Toki asked Takaji if he had fun, and that and he says that Takaji being the shogun ruling, he'll have to have a lot of warriors, so this would be the last chance he'll have to do a game of tag. And so he says, from the last Hojo to the Ashikaga must carry on. They give you rule of the land as well as joy. Takaji starts crying. Then like his heart just stopped, and he knows if he excels, he'll die. So he wonders what his last words would be. Then like he remembers everyone he spent, and he says that was fun. Then he dies, and the tree starts burning. So Fubuki and Kojiro walk towards the tree and let themselves burn to death. And you see like everyone starts crying, including Takaji. And yeah, and that's how the chapter ends. So yeah, so Tokiyuki, Fubuki, Kojiro are dead. They're dead. So yeah. So it's sad. That's how as expected. Like this. I mean, they were gonna die. I mean, Tokyo was definitely gonna die because in history that is when he dies. Now in history, it's say he gets executed. He does get beheaded. But they was like, okay, let's have him have some victory against Takaji despite that. So yeah, so it looks like they're gonna have the two sides reconcile, and then like he dies of like his heart issue. So yeah, I'm guessing next chat. I don't know how like there's it looks like there's at least one more chapter left for next week. So who knows how that will go? That should be interesting. Like how it goes. But yeah, I thought it was a good chapter. It looks like we're getting really close to the end. So I thought it was a really good chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Kagurabachi Chapter 110. So in this chapter, Samura's using his black flame power to try to heal people and like help them escape from Soga's like attacks. Like so, like, the Magatsumi's flowers are burning up, so like the victims of the flowers are recovering. So Samura's like based on where he's at now, he's almost like more powerful than Soga. And so yeah, so basically now, so like so Samura tells Soga that like a bunch of people who don't deserve to die are gonna die, and that's why he's doing what he's doing. And so you see Samura and Soga fight, and then yeah, so and then basically now what's left now there's just you have like two swordsmen. It's all down to swordsmith, like sword ability fighting. And then yeah, so basically you see him fighting, and it's like you know basically then yeah. So you see her talking. He's talking about why he's doing it. So basically yeah. So now like he's interested, basically Chiro's like just watching the fight to prepare for when he has to fight like fight Soga again. And then yeah, and destroy the Bagatsumi. So yeah, so who knows what will happen, like how he'll be able to win. But that should be interesting. So, yeah, I thought this was a very good chapter. Like the combat was awesome. Like the sorcery power. So yeah, I thought it was a really good chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Ultimate Exorcist Kiyoshi Chapter 78. So in this chapter, Hichiki arrives here to save Shuden, and he starts fighting Gaga, and so so that fight's starting, and like then like you see like so yeah, so Tosaka and all the other demons are trying to like so Yamada and like a bunch of the other demons are trying to help heal Kiyoshi, and then like yeah, and then you see like Ichiko arrives to where like he arrives to where like Tosaka is, and then like and then so basically and then his Tosuka's like keeping watch, and then yeah, so Tosuka asks like what connection does Hydriko have with Kiyoshi, and Hydriko uh doesn't misreads what he's asking. She's like, no, no, no. She's like, no. She's like, no. She's like, she's trying to act like she doesn't want to marry Kiyoshi, and Tosuka's like, yeah, we're on different wavelengths here. So another demon arrives to help, but then he's sliced up by the former Eighth Lord of the 13 Club, Neko. So it's a cat demon, and so Neko had defected to Bobo's side, and then yeah, so he then slices up Hydriko, and then yeah, so then Tosuka recognizes Neko. He remembers like he worked with someone named Kazumi, and so Neko had killed Kazumi. And so Tosuke gets pissed off. He's like, and Neko's like, "Oh, you here to get some revenge? Okay." He's like, "This should be fun," because he likes killing people who are out for revenge. And then yeah, and so he then starts to yeah, and then he starts so the chicken so Cook likes does an attack on Neko, and Cook says something, and then Tosuka's like, "Yeah, he's right." He's like, "He ain't trained all this time just for revenge." And he says he's here to just protect like uh Kiyoshi. And basically it looks like so these are two fights. You have Tosuka versus Neko and Hitsuki versus Gaga. Those are gonna be the two fights looks like this is gonna focus on for a little bit. So yeah, it was interesting. I liked how they introduced started these fights. These are gonna be looks like some big fights. They're setting up Kiyoshi's return, I guess, to fight, the big bad. So yeah, this should be a good I really like this chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Ichi the Witch, chapter 68. So in this one we see a Minerva's backstory. So when she was born in Fishing Village when she was young. So she had to be sacrificed to the sea, which like her village does every 50 years. Sacrifice a you know young woman to the sea, basically to the time god, which is Crow Weaver. So Crow Weaver opens the boat she's in, sees her. He rewinds time to like clean her up, and then yeah, so she asks if Kromer's gonna eat her, and like Kromer's face was like basically he's kind of annoyed by it, whole thing, and that he said he'll return to the closest harbor when he can, and that if Kiyoshi finds her, it'll be an annoyance he doesn't want, and then yeah, so basically, so yeah, and like basically Kiyoshi leaves a bunch of stuff around, and that her boat was part of it. And he says that he could rewind time to the point where she was back in their village, but affecting things beyond simple objects like history, like basically changing like sequence of events, takes a lot of energy. And then yeah, so and then yes, and doing it while leaving her memories intact would cause even more cost more energy and a lot of time. And so Minerva starts clean up the ship. And, Crowley's annoyed, but he's like, yeah, he was necessary. And then so I guess Cromer obviously doesn't understand humans, so and she Minerva says she if she has some grease she could cook. Cromer offers to get some fish. Minerva asks if he's gonna eat, Bakura says no, since magics don't require the same food as humans. And Kurova asks, and so Minerva asks, like, she says, she's like a good cook. Everyone in the village likes what she makes. Kurova asks if she hates her village since they sacrificed her. And Minerva says there are she can't say there aren't any hard feelings, but and she cried about it, but she didn't want to like someone else to get picked. And then like yeah, and basically like if she goes out to sea, she'll see like places no one else had been, and she expected to get taken in by the time magic himself. And yeah, so basically she's not gonna waste her life on hate on just hating someone. And so they spend time together, and so it's packed. So they're all ready to go, and she like basically it's been a lot of fun. And Kroger asks like, oh, if she'll return to her village. Mirror says she doesn't know. She hasn't decided that yet. And then she thinks things will work out. And then like she starts crying, but like because she doesn't want to leave, and that she'll cook and clean, and like basically she won't bother him. And so they start staying together, living together. And so Kroger had left for a little bit, and he had brought some dirt with the plant and with the flower that she wanted to see. And Miller thanks him and asks why like he did that, and Kroger says because he thought it would make her happy. And you see both of them are blushing. Then Minerva kisses Chrono Weaver, and then yeah, so you see Kroger thing about how so you see like Minerva like remembers on his so each of them like reminiscing about like their time together. And Minerva thinking that she thinks herself she's sorry that she couldn't protect the baby. But then time rewinds, and Connor says that he will not abide that outcome. And you see him like he says he says even if he must rewrite the laws of his world or destroy himself, he will not allow Minerva to die. So yeah, I thought it was a really good. That was a good chapter. Like, okay, so explain like how they met, all that stuff. So they're obviously setting up Chrono Weaver dying, and probably the child being the next Chrono Weaver. That is probably what's being set up. Like they're doing like the Dream of the Endless type thing. I mean, not necessarily like because you had the execution and all that with Dream of the Endless and Sandman, but it looks like it's gonna be like a Dream of the Endless type thing. So yeah, I thought it was a good chapter. Looking forward to the next one. My Family, chapter 128. So in this chapter, so Yor gets tickets to watch like some like a show. Basically, there's like a romance drama called 5 Year Love Plan. Basically, it's very popular. There's gonna be a special live broadcast, and like people are invited to be part of the live studio audience, and Yor gets those tickets to it. And like and so it's funny. So like her coworkers are Yor's coworkers are like they're jealous because they like because I guess so one of the coworkers is like husband husband Kevin's on it. And then, well, and they're like, you don't watch it, give it. And yours are like, no, she did watch it, but then Wally walked in, she got a little embarrassed and turned it off. And basically, yeah, it was like, well, you two were always pushing on her, like her to watch it, and so they're all trying to get her to take the, and it was like, no, she probably will take Lloyd with her, and yours like, what? Oh, and she's thinking like, and basically, yeah. So you have it is so funny. So everyone's talking about it, and then like yeah, so Hemlock is like so Hemlock's like a date, so like he's like he thinks it's impropriety, and so Millie's trying ask uh Hemlock on dates. He's basically like no, and then everyone's like, well, if your husband declines, hey, you'll go, and yours like and so everyone's still get back to work, and so yours thinking about what to do, and then she sees Yuri, and then Yuri sees tickets. He says he'll clear schedule, go with her, and yours says that she wants to go with Lord, and you're like, wait, didn't you say you hated him? And yours like, never said that. And yours like, do you love him then? And yours like, yes. He is her. She's like, she's like, yes. She says she does. And he's like, well, he is her husband. So, and yours reaction is feels like a freaking. It's like no. And so Yuri's like just passed out, and he just misses a bunch of stops. And the guy, because it was like, this is our final stop. And then he says, even if he thinks even his third will, he'll not let it stand. And it's funny then at the house you see Anya using her Stellist, playing with her Stellars, trying to do like what like Slag does with the Tointress bolts. And it's so funny. And Lloyd says that he can't see the TV. It's actually like it's funny. It's like, oh man, that's funny. And Lloyd Ricard calls it the handler, mentioning about the handler is talking about Forstella, that she's basically halfway there. And then like Lloyd says, well, is there any word you want to celebrate the achievement? And your returns home, shows Lloyd the ticket. Anna says she wants to go, and your says that children aren't allowed, and children and pets aren't allowed. And Lloyd recognizes it's a roundtable discussion with the director and cast, bunch of guests. Yours like she doesn't want her to appeal, and Lloyd thinks about how like the director, his name's Iger, he made propaganda films during the war, so he has connections to politicians, and the opera singer Grossa is a guest, and apparently there's rumors she's like basically having an affair with the minister of broadcasting. So he realized this could be a good way to make connections, and he's like, yeah. He says, yeah, let's do it. And so, well, he says he also want to see the behind scenes of how a TV show network runs. And I was thinking, well, he's thinking about work. And like Anya asks if they're gonna be all lovey dovey on TV, and they're like, well, you're like, no. And they're like, no, and they're like embarrassed. It's so funny. And so yours trying to think about what to wear, and then yeah, so they head to the TV tower, and yeah, so Yuri's there. So he claims to Yor and Lloyd that he's there to he was invited by a director friend of his, but it's really so. Lloyd's thinking about like the only issues that the SSS would be there to deal with censorship stuff, like to force censorship. And so what Yuri actually did was force someone to censorship duty to switch with him. And so you see like how like well it's like crap, there's the real threat. And so everyone goes live, so everyone watches what's going on. And so yours feeling a little awkward. And yeah, so and then and also on the TV, so Frankie's I guess babysitting Anya and Bond. And Anya's like is bored, so she wants to switch to the cartoon channels. And yeah, so and it has this little side thing. So then they take a break. So the live show takes a break, and so Lloyd says he's gonna go to the bathroom, and then he's concerned about Yuri since Yuri's already suspected him of being Twilight once. Yeah, so yeah, it's just funny. So Lloyd's overhearing everything that's going on. Yeah, so and then there's something about some guys below aren't answering that they're going live 30 seconds, and then someone says they need the elevator, but the elevator's not working. But then the elevator opens up, some people walk out, and so when the next segment is a quiz, so they try to identify some scenes, and then some guys appear, and one guy points a gun to to one of the get to some people start pointing guns at people, and then someone says the library says Citizen of Estonia to everyone. Estonia basically he says there's a change in program, and he calls it it's an emergency broadcast of airing the grievances. So it's like we have a hostage situation now. So that is gonna be interesting because you have Yuri there. So it's gonna be how Lloyd and Yor are gonna handle it because how the three of them are gonna handle it, like given their professions, and they try to keep all that secret. So it's gonna be interesting to see how that goes. How could this be when they each learned their respective where their respective roles, because Lloyd wants to keep himself away from from the TV screen because being on the TV screen would affect his work as a spy because his real face has been seen by targets before, so it is gonna play a role. So that's gonna be interesting to see how that goes. So yeah, I thought it was a really good chapter. You know, the humor was great. Looking forward to the next chapter. Jujutsu Kaisen Modulo Chapter 20. So in this chapter, you have Yuji just wrecking everyone, Callian and human. So one of the Callians senses him, so he knows Yuji's an Earthling, but his aura is like Callian. So which leads to some question where something to do with his sword. Where question does become it has something to do with Sukuna, like the Sukuna fingers and all that, and how Yuji's father was a reincarnation of Sukuna, his brother. Yes, that's a spoiler for the anime. Even the manga's been done for a while. And then Yuji's just wrecking it. He's wrecks humans and Callians. He's not being biased. He's just trying to keep everyone from trying to kill each other and interfere with the two fights going on. And then yeah, and so Yuji kind doesn't care. He's like he says he'll deal with the cursed spirits that are gonna leak out of Tokyo, and he'll deal and if and, if Yuka loses, he'll deal with Dabura as well. And yeah, so and he wonders if what's going on is for the best. And so Yuji's just kind of depressed with her. And yeah, so you see how Dabura is fighting, trying to think about how to use the curse energy. He comes with a new technique. And so you see the fight. Then with Tsurugi he's fight with Maru. So you see fight, and then like so with that fight, yeah, so the Rika's power fades away, and now he's like he released transformation. Now he's like really powerful. So he's get a lot faster. You see blood like it's implied by the last panel that Tsurugi has slashed Maru. So yeah, these fights are picking up, and so it's interesting what's going on. It's like yeah, so I'm is one is like okay, did something happen? Like what all has happened? And like now one thing I've seen is that apparently Modulo um so Modulo like apparently it might not be canon. Like apparently it's a separate timeline. Now, now why that's the case? What's going on? Like apparently it's possibly not canon. So who knows? Yeah, so who know? I don't know if that's true or anything. Like it's at least some questions. Yeah, and then yeah, so who knows? So I thought this was I thought it was a decent chapter. Interesting, like why is Yuji the way he like what in the world happened? Like they just do the fact that he's lived so long and everyone else has basically has died off. Like I think Nobara's the only one left, to my knowledge. I mean, well, Nobara and Todo. So I think Todo's still alive. I don't know about Megumi, but I think Todo and Nobara are alive. Megumi, I have no idea. I mean, obviously Yuta is dead. I think Maki's dead. So we don't know, and of course we don't know about Panda and a lot of the others. So we don't know about who from like the old, like the previous, like who else from the main Jujutsu Kaisen manga are still alive. Like Yuji, like he's like some reason he's like immortal and can't age for whatever reason. I don't know. Maybe it's something to do with him. Uh, it maybe something happened with Tengen. I don't know. Like possible that's what happened. Like it's possible maybe something happened with Tengen. Like I don't know. Like Yuji had to absorb Tengen's power. Now he's at the point where he like can live immortal, whatever. Like who knows what happened? So that should because he can technically Tengen was able to assimilate with anyone. So if he assimilated with Yuji, maybe that's why Yuji's like immortal and and the whole Kanager thing probably something to do with like the whole Sukuna and Kenjaku stuff. So anyway, I thought it was a decent chapter. Interesting what's going on with Yuji. Looking forward to the next one. One Wrong Egg, chapter 13. So this chapter, so it's explained that the Supreme Commander of the Human Liberation Army is descended from a tribe that was in contact with Gondola before the Drakark occupation, and that she had lived long enough to remember when the current king invaded. That the reason she still appears young is because of all the Drakark arts she's eaten. And then she's like the only one I guess to witness mankind's defeat downfall. And that's why she hates Dracarys so much. And so the commander's name is really be Selga. And so and then Selga says that she's happy that Dracarys want to join the cause, and and that Gonron would be a boost, and that it could help diplomacy between the two races. And Selga asks what the egg's name is. Oma introduces himself, and he says that he's the son of former Jakart King Osurakan, and he says he intends to overthrow the usurper and restore peace to the worlds. And then Ma tries to attack them, but Sozaru like blocks it, and the other ones are like, "Hey, let them finish the conversation." Like, "Hey," and then they're told like, "Yeah, they helped us fight, like they helped us protect them and their men and their soldiers in the meat woods." And Soga says she wants to speak with Gonrong and Oma alone, so she sends everyone else back inside. And yeah, Maya says been kinder to let her kill him. Gonrong says that he wants Soga to believe that Oma is actually the prince. And Soga says that Asurikon was an ally since to the humanity since she was young, and that basically was due to his advance warning that any humans survived at all. And that she said he was the only Drakkar that they could trust completely. And she says that's why she won't not allow anyone invoke his name to deceive her. And basically Selga then has gone wrong, put his hand inside this thing called a popo, it's a parasitic gondolon plant. It detects lies, and that it's been planted among the guillotine, and it will scan brainwaves and will sever the hand if it's determined they're determined to be lying. And she tells Garland to basically place his hand in and stake his body on the claim. And she says that he's not the first been to deceive to try to deceive the human militia army by invoking Asurakon's name, because his name still holds power, or like they maybe sought to mess with his reputation. And she says that's why they deal with those deceivers downstairs. And shown in the bat, I guess like basically Selga just tortures a bunch of deceivers down there. And then yeah, and Garnong after doing it says that after this he'll test her Selga's loyalty to Asurikon. Selga's like, okay, that's fair. And then Selga asks if it's true, and then everyone's wondering what's going. Then see Gonrong walk in. Selga is just holding Oma like cuddling it. She's happy that child of Asurikon survived, and she thanks Gonrong for bringing Oma there, and she says that she'll take care of Oma. And then so Selga officially invites Gonrong and Oma into the Human Liberation Army. And she says, but they lack experience, and that basically they won't be a match for those who are working for the Super King. And that basically says that the Liberation Army is preparing a large scale invasion to defeat Rigoku, who basically rules the world right now. And that due to how the battle will be, that they need to train for 3 years. And so it looks like we're gonna have either a train arc now. I don't know if they're gonna just do a time jump, or they're gonna go how much train they're gonna show. because it probably means okay, train. That means okay, it might end. So I remember other stuff. I mean, because sometimes stuff like that happens. Like GHX, like it had like I think it was like a 3 year time jump with training, and then the final bout. Looks like this might be doing the same thing. So this is ending soon. Looks like this is gonna end soon. So yeah, I thought it was a good chapter. So okay, so Selga was friends with the Surikon, so we'll see how that goes. So yeah, I thought it was a good chapter. Looking forward to the next one. The Mage Next Door, chapter 12. So in this chapter, so Osagawa and Yobiko infiltrate the like basically Jogasaki's second public middle school to find like a mage because they believe that's how Kaido got drunk, got magic drunk. And so they infiltrate as substitute teachers. What's funny is Osagawa wears a shirt that says infiltration, very suspicious. So like Osagawa, is a substitute PE teacher and Yobiko is an art teacher. And so apparently the elite task force helped get them to substitute like roles. And so Osagawa teaches baseball, and so he pitches since there's not enough people, but he sucks at pitching, so he puts some magic on the baseball to allow him to pitch better. And he just keeps striking everyone out. And like he just throws a bunch of weird pitches. And she's like, "All right, if you get a home run, you'll get an A." And it was like, we can't do that." And he's like, "All right, if you go up to bat, I'll give you an A." And they're like, "Oh, okay." And Kyle Rice thanks Osagawa for his help. And then yeah, and then basically like so he's like, oh yeah, he's nothing wrong. I may be undercover, but he'll still teach. And they're like, under what? And then like it's just funny how like he keeps pitching. And then you have in the art class, Yoviko's teaching. She looks at this sculpture, draws it, and draws it exactly right. Everyone's like, what? And it's like 3 minutes. And so she's like, yeah. So Mini Magus talks to you as like, hey, I know you're so good at drawing. She says, well, her family paid a lot of lessons. So yeah, so she'll sign and she says if you draw something as good as my drawing, you'll pass. And they're like, what? No, no one's gonna pass. She's like, all right. Then she does it. She summons she then does a summoning spell, and then she summons this bird, and everyone's like, what is that? Is it a shoe? And she calls it a shoebill bat, and they're like, she tells everyone to just draw that. They're like, what? She's like, where'd you get the bird? And Yoba like, man, like, this is. She's like, oh, this is my pet. And so you see, looks like someone. And you see like goes so like someone like dark shading, like their one. There's like a shadow over their eye, and so looks like we have a hint of who the mage is. So it looks like it could be one of the students. And so at the end of the first day, Osagawa and Yobiko meet up, and then basically right Raiko. So do his pitching. He couldn't before he could get a perfect game. They all switched to bunting, so they'll get some hits, and he doesn't know how defense works in baseball. So it looks like they got inside the park home run. So yeah, so that's a bad get inside the park home run off a bunt. Oh, might be the most embarrassing way to lose. And so near them, they found the mage, and that Mini Mega said that those who are skilled were able to keep magical power from leaking out, and that whoever the mage is, if there's a mage there, it must be a very powerful one. and then and so yeah, so then someone is like, even though so they'll be, then hear someone say, "Yep," and then they're attacked, and so basically so Osagawa tries to block with the memory foam pillow, but the pillow is shredded, and so there's two mages there. You have one called Idokura, and another one called like Hidakata. Yeah, and so since there are two mages there amongst the students, and so they say schools that so they'll need to send them like back home, like get to the magic world. So that starts that fight. So it looks like yeah, we'll see like them fight like Yobako and Osagawa fighting those two mages. We'll see how that goes. See how that fight. We'll see who win. Like assuming Osagawa wins. So this should be interesting to see how it goes. Like and how that connects to like the overarching plot that's going on. So yeah, I thought it was a good chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Kunon the Sorcerer can see episode 6. So in this one, so Kunon starts his train under Zionli, but a lot of training involves doing paperwork for Zionli while Zionli sleeps on the waterbed. Then Mirika starts sword training. So Zionli shows Kunon doing one of his magic tool designs, the box that could cook food without needing a kitchen. And so he and Kunon start trying to complete it together. Mirko starts at the senior academy, and then Kunon there learns about the magic academy. It's totally there's like sorcerers from all over the world go there, and that basically he can't go. You can't particularly go till he's 12, and so he tries to learn. So 2 years we see 2 years later, Xianli decides to end the apprenticeship, so Kunon can end the academy, and since there might be a water magician who can teach him. And so Kunon starts trying to work on his magic eyes. And so since the academy is far away, Mirika is concerned that she won't be able to see him all the time. And then she tells Darion that Parva wants Kunon to stay blind and so that and be dependent on her, but Darion says that that she's just upset that it's all natural, that things will be fine. And Jolly says that he believes he's taught Kunon enough that where Kunon will be able to actually make the eyes so you can see. And then but after a while Kunon keeps figuring out how to do it. And he considers giving up, but he wants to see everyone's faces. And then one day he actually finally makes a magic eye, and he's able to see for the first time. And he's excited, and he sees a giant crab like looking over him in the library. Now, whether or not that's actually there, or if that's just he messed up something and he's seeing things that something's not there, who knows? That'll be figured out probably explained next episode. But yeah, I thought it was a good episode. Interesting like how Lee taught him. It was weird, definitely like really that like one episode basically. Wow, basically 2 episodes worth of training. Did not expect that. So obviously we at least have we at least have like like we at least have a thing where like I thought I was surprised that the train like it was that short. I was like, really? This is quick? Like this is like that was quick, and like that was weird. So we have like an eye. So now next episode is called Kunon the Sorcerer Can See. So I'm wondering if that is like it's like are they gonna end it after 7 episodes? Like I was confused. I was like, it's like that's quick. Like are they ending after that many episodes? Like because I was saying okay, they're gonna end it with the character actually being able to see, or they'll hint at it. I mean, like I think like the series is still going on. I think the manga has like 7 volumes or something. So I was like, man, that is quick. Like I was like, okay, but yeah, I'm interested in seeing how this goes. Like how like we'll see how it goes. So we'll. See. I'm interested. So I really I like this episode. Looking forward to the next one. Hayachan isn't scary. Episode 4. So in this episode, um, yeah. So there's a lot of stuff that happens this episode. So you have like a doll that's like possessed. So like this one character, like this one character like tries to you like grabs the doll and like she like it's possessed and she starts trying to make herself look like the doll. Kyle warns her and her friend don't touch the doll because so the background is so someone there was a kindergarten center I guess that closed down and someone got toys there gave it to like the kindergarten center that Kaya goes to and so like and then so the girl this one girl like starts making herself look like the doll like her clothes are torn like the doll. She cuts her hair short like it, starts acting like it. The two girls like they say, "Hey, you're not right. Get the and like so the they're like, it's the doll's fault." And so they dock so they try to get the doll and try to like destroy it or like do something to it. And the girl arrives with the doll, starts trying to attack them, knocks the doll, and then Kaya gets there and she said, "This is why I told you not to use." She picks up the doll and just slams it to the ground, exercises it. Then the little girl like she like awakens from the trance and she's like, "Wait, where am I?" So she didn't remember anything. And then yeah, so and then later, so obviously Chi Sensei like is thinking about like what Mob said about like something in Kaya's house. And then she remembers like and then it turns out it's the home visits where I guess the teachers go to the students' houses for whatever reason to talk to the parents, whatever. So she goes there, she sees Kaya, and then Kaya like says no, you can't go, and so she's concerned about she talking with her mother, and so she goes in there, talks with her parents, and so she sees the bar. We see like something surrounding the bar, like there's like some it's like a ghost thing surrounding it, and she like I guess doesn't notice anything. The viewer sees, I guess, from Kaya's point of view, what it is for a lot of it. Like we see she talking to her parent, like Kaya's parents, and like so out she leaves. Like she sees Bob. Bob asks what she saw. She says she didn't see anything. She doesn't like and then like the but like so she remembers she dropped her she forgot her pen so she was like crap. And then so Kaya's mother brings the pen and Bob sees and she says thank you and Bob sees Kaya's mom and gets scary and sees what this and like so one of the things that Kai had said to Chiyu at that was like she said that her mom's not like the others. And so mom asked Chi if she saw it like Kaya's and like she's like what? And she remembers what Kaya said and mom says that no this is like so Kaya's mom is pregnant. So mom deduces that she's pregnant. He believes that she's pregnant with the specter. That basically she's about to give birth to a ghost. And it's implied that's because Kyle there the episode says that she hates babies. It's implied that like yeah, something happened to that there's some issue with the baby that's inside of Kaya's mother. And that basically so Kaya can't exercise the ghost because it's inside of her mother. She doesn't want to hurt her mother. And I guess maybe its power level could be above what Kaya can exercise. And so there is like a and like there is like something going on. So yeah, so it's gonna be interesting what goes on with that. So it looks like everyone who can't see supernatural stuff, they see Kaya's mom as as looking normal, but those who have like a can see the specter. So it's gonna be interesting. So yeah, I thought it was a good episode, very interesting. They introduced the mystery. Looking forward to the next episode. Oedo Fire Slayer: The Legend of Phoenix, episode 4. So this episode, Gengo like wants to recruit someone who can read the wind to like his team of firefighters. So he remembers a friend who equipping the firefighter, and so like years before, wants to find him. He learns that the guy's dead, so he tries to recruit his son. But the son basically like does not want to join because he doesn't like how his father quit being a scholar to be a firefighter, and that he had died like saving some people from fire, and those people had looked down on him for like I guess his appearance, whatever. So they keep trying. He doesn't want to join, and and basically by the time the episode ends, they're in the process, but I think he's more open to I guess discussing things with Gengo. So we'll see how that goes. Like we see so I mean basically it was like okay he is gonna join. It's the guy who can read wind. Now I think reading wind I guess has to do with like I guess how the fire could spread or how like what direction it could be coming from if they have to go a distance to find it. But I thought it was I thought it was a decent episode. Looking forward to the next one. Hell's Paradise season 2 episode 4. So in this episode, a second landing team arrives. So you have a group of samurai and ninja. So the ninja are secretly sent to kill Gabimaru. And so the samurai are there, to like, find the elixir of life. So Shugen, who I guess is leader of the whole group arriving, there he is very zealous about dealing with criminals. Like he when dealing with the yakuza to like they're in trouble getting them to talk about something. Shugen wipes out all the yakuza members and their families, like including the women and children. Like he wipes them all out because he's like he doesn't want anyone inheriting the yakuza's business, and like he'll show no mercy. And like he wants all the criminals to die. He doesn't want any of them returning. And so Shugen even tries to like dull his sword so he can prolong the agony of anyone he executes because he doesn't want him to have a quick death. And so we see like how like so you see Jika, Kiyomaru, Isuzu are amongst like the people who arrive with him. So we're seeing like and dude, the way they introduced Shugen was freaking awesome. And like dude, like holy frick. Yeah, like oh man. Like that's gonna be in insane like so I thought it was an interesting episode. So like and so basically everyone who's already now is talking about it because they sense it coming. I guess Sagari had possibly had a crush on Shugen when she was in training. That Shugen was the big reason she was able to get a rank within this amongst the samurai. And then yeah, so and it's gonna be interesting to see what goes on. So yeah, apparently a lot of samurai who knew about what Shugen did to those families, they didn't like to talk about it. Like everyone knew about he killed the yakuzawas. They didn't realize a lot, but very few knew that he had killed like the families. And so and Shugen possibly is able to use Tao already. And then yeah, so dude, it's gonna be insane. Like when he comes across all the criminals, what's gonna happen there? Like how are they gonna go? And it was where you have a ninja who was like singing, but then while killing somebody, stabbing someone with the throat. I was like, what the frick? So it was like, I guess to show like his loyalty. Where I was like, dang, these ninja are freaking brutal. Like more brutal than Naruto ninja. And then like it was just done to show that the Iwagakure ninja will do whatever they're told. And like there's gonna be a high body count. I imagine by the time this show's done. So I'm interested in seeing how the rest of this show goes. So right now, it's set up for the rest of this like it's set up for the like for the rest of the show, like for the rest of the show. So I thought it was a really good episode. Looking forward to the next one. Under Doctor Chapter 2. So in this chapter, so Haiji like is falling asleep as he's like falling on the parachute, and he like basically is just hanging on off of this tree whatever, and he's just sleeping. And then Chiwa, I guess who's like his manager, whatever, like arrives and picks him up, and she's like, and, he balled it. She's like, well, you always kill yourself by taking a nap at the middle of North Pole, so she's used to it. And then like, and Chiwa, so her real name's Chiwako Oshimori. So she says that if Haiji dies, she's the one who's gonna get yelled at, and now doesn't say who's gonna yell at her. So that looks like that's gonna be interesting for later chapter. So apparently, I guess whatever Haiji was doing in Singapore, that went well. And so basically, Chio was able to make arrangements to where like his identity on the was reported as a talented detective who just was able to spot the terrorists quicker than anyone else. And so no one died. Some people were injured, but no one died. So the airplane landed. And so when Chio says that you know IG made things very difficult for her, and she says even in emergencies she would appreciate if he didn't stand out. And basically since there wasn't a lot of damage, it probably won't be a popular of a thing, like of a topic of discussion. So and so basically since like he is like someone who lives underground and like I guess his nickname is like Haiji the Under Doctor, and Chiwa says that Hydra will be responsible for all costs involved in, I guess, covering up everything. And said there was a lot of money that she had to spend. And she says that she's aware that and like that he requires funds for his research, so she'll pay some of it. And she asks if he knows how many hundreds of millions of yen were she had to spend in one day for all that. She says that she'll prepare a mountain of work for him to do to pay it back. And I guess Haiji is scared of Chiwa. And so basically, and then a job had just come in, so they go there. And so basically, they see some guy who's wounded, so named Kikuta. And so he's a so Jun Kikuta, he's an investigator from Public Security Section 9. And so basically, he get so Haiji was surprised because he had tattoos, like he's in a gang. So basically, he had to get tattoos to infiltrate the Great Crane Gang. So like, he was trying to find their smuggling operation route for years while undercover, but he got caught, and he's wounded now. And so Haiji looks at his, uses the lights to find his weak points where the wounds are, and he's lost a lot of blood. So Haiji says he has to hurry and seal up the wounds, and he'll deal the end of the operation. And like, yeah, basically, so yeah, so Kikuda's concerned because of how like how Haiji observed him, like, and so he says Haiji says he has time to explain everything, and so yeah, and so Chiwa explains that Haiji basically has he explains he has eyes to allow him to detect wounds and illnesses, and he's a really good surgeon. And Kikuda asks who is, and she says she's a Oshimori, and asks if that answers her question. And then Kikuda remembers the name. So Oshimori is a clan that they're meteors who manage stuff in the Japanese underground since for a long time. Like so basically Chiwa is basically a very well connected person. So I guess the Oshimoris are a very powerful clan, it looks like. And so apparently some people are at the Great Crane Gains outside. So like they're there, I guess, to finish the job. And then Kikuta tells Haiji and Chiwa to run, and like Haiji says he's not going to run, so he says he'll deal with them with the gangsters, and like he asks for Chiwa to get the operation ready. So Haiji just knocks them all out, and like he beats them all up, and then like yeah, so and then like he says they'll begin the operation, and then so yeah, so looks like they so Kikuta pulls out a picture of his wife and son, and so yeah, so then like I guess he gets some operation going. Then there, I guess it was like he's taken to the hospital, and so he's able to see like his his family again. I guess Haiji played like with with Kikuta's son for a little bit, and so and Chiwa leave, and Kikuta like thanks him, and Kikuta says he'll get back to work as soon as he gets discharged. And so yeah, Haiji tells Kikuta that he's expensive, so prioritize safety. He says tells him to take care, and that's the end of the chapter. See, I thought it was a good chapter, so I don't know if this is gonna be like a case of the week type thing, or if this is just gonna like if they're just trying to like introduce some people before getting to like longer arcs. But this is just like a procedural, like a weekly. It's gonna make a procedural like a weekly case. That could be interesting because we don't have a lot of procedurals in manga. Like a lot of stuff is very serialized. I mean, this one, is right after the like what like it was right after he had parachuted, so a little serialized, but it could be kind of like a procedural like thing. Maybe they do it. That'd be interesting because we don't get a lot of that. Like because I mean, manga is very serialized. It kind of helped popularize the serialization concept in general, like in fiction. But anyway, I thought it was a really good chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Kinato's Magic, Chapter 1. So, this is a new manga that started on Suisha. So, So in the town Monotuka, it's a country town in eastern part of Raccoon Kingdom. So Kyoto helps run a Seirei clinic. Basically, it's a magic that it helps with healing. So yeah, so basically he's very good at that. Like so Seitai or Seitei, where it's technically called. So it may be Seitai. And then so you have so one of his clients mentions adventurers, like how they'll do attack stuff. And then so he starts warming up after he's done for his appointment. So then his childhood friend, who's like the innkeeper's art, Line, arrives, asks for him to lend her money. And then he's like, and Kino's like, don't ask me something like that with the sparkle, basically. And she grabs his head, puts it right next to her chest, and she's like, you can't. And then Kinato says that Liam's about to split his head open. So and Liam Polly is like, so he's like, she could have sworn like whatever book she was reading said, intense physical touch is sure to loosen the purse strings of naive childhood friends. And Kino tells her to throw that book away. And then basically, so Line was trying to get money to basically help this plant that a guest was fond of. That it was starting to wilt. The plant was starting to wilt. So she's trying to do a bunch of part-time jobs, but she won't get paid in a while. And Kendo says the man is all jumbled up, so that he says he'll just adjust it to deal with it. And so he gets some water, and basically uses his magic and Zil to restore it. And Leonade asked if Kanto can make her all buff, especially like her butt. And Kanto says no because doing that to a person would cause too much strain. So then these adventurers arrive. Well, and offer and ask for him to join them on a mission to slay a dragon that's endangering the area. You know, Kanto first says no, but basically his grandmother convinces him to go do it since he's been wanting to be an adventurer for a while, and Lena tells him that. And so yeah, so then he goes there, meets with them at the front gate, and then yeah, so then but Kanto's then knocked out and captured. So it turns out they're not adventurers, that they're actually slave traders, and basically mages are very valuable as slaves. So Kanto's taken to this prison and he meets someone who's eating some sugar grass that has minerals, and he's like, "Oh," and the guy's like, "Yeah, no, no, I'm not. I don't eat grass all the time. No, it's very edible." And so yeah, so and then so the guy says that things about Venture that they wear a special badge, and he reveals it. So he's an actual Venture. He's the captain of a Venture school called the Iron Fangs. His name's Jian. And so Kento asks how he got captured, and so Jian was saying he was tracking some smugglers around the called a group of smugglers called the Black Market, and he was breaking the bones of some when one of them escaped. And he was chasing the guy, but then he saw a girl giving away free food samples on the street. The girl was dressed, it was wearing one of those bunny girl dresses that you see, I guess, at some clubs or whatever. So she had her tits hanging out and all that. He couldn't resist, and so it was laced with sleep mess, so he was knocked out. I mean, yeah. So and GM finds it kind of funny how he got how he got captured, and so apparently the rope has some magic device on it, and so the more he tries to release it, the higher it gets, and it drains mana. And so Kanto, hearing the script, says that he may be able to help them get out. So he uses Seidai magic put some stress put some apply the Seiya magic on the device and basically cause it to blow up and put too much stress on the ropes. And he does it to Jian's magic, Jian's device ropes as well. So he's able to free them. So they go out there, and then Jian starts beating up all the smugglers, and then yeah, so and then an actual dragon appears. So apparently the whole lair for the smugglers was was near a dragon's lair. So that was probably a dumb idea. So now Jian and Kyoto had to deal with the dragon. So and Kyoto, just the man inside Jian or to help realign his joints, help him move out full range. So he's very flexible now. And so yeah, so Kyoto tries to figure out how to help Jian since Jian's helping to try to protect the village. So Kanto has this massage ball that's filled with mana, and so it's a flow boost, and so basically it can, and so the it can help, I guess, how it works. So he throws the massage ball and launches it towards the dragon, and it defeats the dragon, and so he basically defeats the dragon with the massage ball. And Gian asks if he's a mercenary or monster, and Kyo says no, he just runs a Seai clinic with his grandmother. And so Gian asks Kyo to join his adventurer guild, and that it would be great if he could have his power. If Kanto's power working with him would actually be very beneficial. And Kyo's I know my limits, I know I can't do event, and Gian's you defeat a dragon. He's don't you think adventure fits your abilities? And his his biggest concern is what's he gonna tell his grandmother. So his grandmother tells him it's okay to be careful. And his grandmother hugs him, and he says that that Kanto's a man now, that he could go out and give venturing a try. So everyone says bye. Then Line goes there, and it's explained that Jian asked her to be a receptionist, and so yeah. And so basically, the three of them leave, I guess, to go be adventurers, where. So I thought it was a good chapter, good way to start the series. It's interesting. You don't see a lot of this high fantasy stuff with. You see something with Suisha. This looks like something you would think would be a one of those light novels, like a light novel type story that you see in some stuff, especially the a lot of the Kodansha stuff. A lot, it comes across a lot there, high fantasy series. So it's an interesting premise. So I thought it was a good chapter. Looking forward to the next one. Night of the Seven Kingdoms, episode 3. So in this episode, Egg basically it's the morning he's trained Dunk's horse Thunder and one-eyed Sir Robin Rissling, who lost his eye in the joust. He asks whether or not he stole the horse. Egg says no because it's not stealing if he's going to return it. I don't know if that logic is actually. I don't think that logic's actually accurate, but whatever. And so Dunk asks Tanzel if his shield's ready yet, and then he buys some goose eggs so Egg can eat. Who and Egg was not happy with salt beef, and there's a whole argument about it. It's a funny argument. And then and Baser's whole, I guess, so Plumber tells Dunk that too much money was spent on the pageant for where like by Ashford, and he asked him to do a rig joust where Lord Ashford's son Sir Andro would lose. And so Egg and Dunk watch the jousting match. They see Prince Arian Targaryen or Arian Brightflame compete against Sir Humphrey Harding, and Arian uh, mortally wounds Harding's horse. The crowd's not happy, and so Dunk and Egg watch Lionel, sing, and Dunk tells Egg that he think his father was likely a thief who was hanged. And they come across a fortune teller who gives their fortune. So yeah, so interesting thing with the fortune teller. So yeah, so the fortune teller, it's a big deal if people who are familiar with the books, it's a big freaking deal. Like, because it could spoil like future books, and so in the prophecy, the fortune teller tells Dunk, "You shall know great success and be richer than a Lannister." Now, everyone knows Lannisters are generally pretty rich, because if you're familiar with Dunk's history, Dunk actually becomes he becomes very successful. Like, now the interesting thing is Dunk. It is with Egg's fortress. She says, "You shall be king and die in a hot fire, and worms shall feed upon your ashes, and all who know you shall rejoice in your passing." Um, yeah. So that's there's some questions with that because okay, now and I'll get to why it is in a little bit. People who know the books know why this could leave some question about what's going on. So anyway, so after and Eggs gets her, she's like, "Why'd you say that? Why'd you say?" It? And Dunk's like, "What?" Dunk's like, "What?" He's like, "Whatever." He doesn't take it seriously. Um, and so and then Raymond, he calls the Targaryens incestuous aliens. When discussing the horse killing, and Egg tells Dunk that Arian is hurting Tanzel, who's so there's a puppet show that showed a knight find the dragon. The knight defeats the dragon. Arian's pissed because the Targaryens, they're heavily associated with dragons. Aaron believes is paranoid, thinking that the puppet show is supposed to symbolize, the people rising up against the Targaryens. Targaryens are not as powerful as they used to be because they don't have dragons. Because they're all dead at this point. What? Well, unless the cannibals somehow hanging around somewhere. And Arian attacks Tanzel and breaks her finger. And like he Tyrion's like attacking her. Arian's like attacking her. So Dunk sees it. He attacks Arian to defend Tanzel. Arian loses a tooth, and the soldiers restrain Dunk, and Arian wants to break all of Dunk's teeth in exchange for the one tooth he lost. So Egg uh, appears. He tells the soldiers to stop, and Dunk tells Egg he's like leave, they'll hurt you. And Egg says, no they won't, and he calls those soldiers by name. And Arian recognizes him. He's like, "What happened to your hair?" Egg says he doesn't want to look like him, and he calls him brother. So that explains where the kings is. Okay, here's the deal with the prophecy. Um, Egg's real name is Aegon. He is the son of Makar. So Makar, who's appeared in the show, And this whole deal about Aegon, his son Aegon being missing. Egg is that Aegon. Like that's essentially what it's like. He is like yeah, and so so and and basically make and Makar's the son of Makar's the son of King Darren the Second, and he's like basically he's a very important character. Like he is actually very important, and so and with what's going on, so basically, and so yeah, so what's going on is so the prophecy so Aegon yes he does become king. He is Aegon the Fifth, also called Aegon the Unlikely because of basically so Aegon Fifth his so he's nicknamed Aegon the Unlikely because he was the fourth son. Aegon was the fourth is the fourth son of Maekar the First, who is the fourth son of the current king Darren the Second. So the odds of Aegon becoming king were obviously very low. And so he's calling himself Egg to and shave his head partly to I mean if you have that one little silver hair, so Targaryens, um, that means something like because very valuable if for people who like to smuggle people like or some people in brothels there's a reason Alicent Targaryen was very successful at her profession after she left the castle. So yeah, so basically so Aegon is going to become king. And now the interesting part is all those who know him will rejoice. That's an interesting thing because he died. So Aegon and Dunk, they died the tragedy of Summerhall. So that's like when Rhaegar Targaryen, who is Daenerys Targaryen's oldest brother, also in the show was the biological father of Jon Snow, and in the books that plot point is probably staying the same. Now, I don't think Jon Snow's real name is gonna be Aegon Targaryen. I think it's gonna be Jon Targaryen. Like I think it's gonna be the first name will be from a Stark name, the last name will be Targaryen. That anyway, that's just my own personal theory. So, and 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 you have a bunch, and so and Rhaegar's born during the tragedy of Summerhall. He's born there, and that's why he was always felt so attached to Summerhall. And so Aegon dies there, and it says people all who know him will rejoice at his passing. I'm like, what? Like I didn't know that part. Right? So I was like, wait, okay. It, so it's like, does a what happened at because there's a lot why there's a lot of questions about what happened at Summerhall. Why would they rejoice at Aegon's death? Like that part is like so. Does that mean when he dies, will they be like who will rejoice at Aegon's death? Like did something happen with Aegon that we don't know? Like because there's a question why because I think the Tri Summer was possibly involved some dragon eggs. Like was Aegon did he go a little crazy or something and see some visions regarding regarding dragons and that he went crazy and basically they were glad to no longer have to deal with him, or were the ones rejoicing were they the evil or they basically the pricks because they're a bunch of freaking pricks when they're Targaryens. Were they basically the evil Targaryens? They were like, oh, we have to deal with the good one. We're back to all right. Debauchery is back. Like, is that what it is? That's a possibility. But if it's like But will the other ones who died there, would they be rejoiced? Like, would like, is there a falling out between Dunk and Egg that leads to Dunk like rejoicing at seeing Aegon die after after what he does, and right before he himself dies? Because that leads okay, that leads to some questions. Does is there like is there like a tragic thing with Summerhall? Like, given how George R. R. Martin writes his characters, there is possibly something obviously like like Duncan Egg's unfinished book series, but we know it's supposed to end with Summerhall. Did something associated with Summerhall cause a falling out between Dunk and Egg that leads to Dunk rejoicing at seeing Aegon die? Right before he himself is killed. That's what I'm wondering. I was like, okay, what happened? What's gonna happen? Because now it's like, all right, you better not screw this series up. If Martin doesn't, I mean, Martin probably has some notes about what goes on because you have a World of Ice and Fire, some other in-universe history books that go over some of the stuff after the current book, after the currently released books, and of course you have what notes he has for the next two books, like so like because so the Tales of Dunk and Egg. So the current books are Hedge Knight, Sworn Sword, and Mystery Knight. So the planned installments you have, the She-Wolves of Winterfell. It's basically Dunkin' Egg at Winterfell where they'll meet like the She-Wolves, which I believe are supposed to be like widows of different Targaryens. And then like you have the Village Hero, takes place in the Riverlands. And there's some working titles for other stories. You have the Sellsword, the Champion, the Kingsguard, and the Lord Commander. And like basically like so all the stuff that happens like so now well something chronologically the working title ones we don't know. Now Lord Commander would probably be like one of the later ones because Dunk is he becomes Lord Commander like so like he becomes Lord Commander like in you know like I don't know when he becomes but it's during Aegon's reign. That's what we know. Like so and we know it's that he joins the Kingsguard by 236 AC and he had and by 252 or 253 AC he's the Lord Commander. Where he loses in a duel to a winter tourney against Barristan Selmy. And so Summerhall, we something's going to happen in Summerhall. We don't know what. So I'm wondering what happens. Like the prophecy is the most interesting part of this episode. And now, of course, you're gonna have, based on previous, you have like Dunk asking for help. Now those are the books. No, this has got to do with the trial by combat. Because I mean, he attacked a royal, a member of the royal family. He is definitely obviously he's a knight, so he has the right to trial by combat. So that's probably that's what's gonna happen. As far as why, well, you'll have to see. So yeah, I thought it was a really good episode. The interactions between Dunk and Egg were awesome. The whole potential lore reveals about hints at what's going to happen at Summerhall are interesting. And as far as the whole puppet show, could it be a allegory for people hating the Targaryens? Maybe. A lot of people hate the Targaryens. So could it be an allegory? Maybe. I don't know why someone been dumb enough to show that kind of puppet show at when the Targaryens are around. I don't know. That does seem like a bad idea. But yeah, I thought it was a really good episode. Looking forward to the next one. And that's it. Did y'all like the stuff I reviewed? And if you have your own opinions about all that, you can put all that in the comments. Thank you for watching, and like, subscribe, and all that. And look forward to the next video.